People often talk about what they want to do. They think that maybe one day they are going to go off and travel, for example. That's a common one. Uh, I had this conversation with a coworker the other day, and I said, "Where did you go over your spring break?" Because she's always going someplace fanciful. I wish that I could do that. But I am happy to say one of the things that I've always said that I wanted to do is to dance. And lo and behold, I'm doing the thing. Listen, this is Anne Marie, host of About This Life. About This Life is getting into ourselves and understanding our mindsets to understand what is it that holds us back from living our life to the fullest. And to be able to say, maybe if I change something here or tweak something there, that I will be able, I being you, a collective you, that we would be able to live life differently. So, my guest today, oh my goodness, I can't say enough love for these two people on earth. This is Kevin and Cynthia Murray. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Kevin and Cynthia, founder, is that the word we're going with today? Creator, Simply Swing Dance Academy.
Founder, CEO.
Founder, CEO of Simply Swing Dance Academy and Social Dance Exchange as well. So we will get into that in just a little bit. What I would love to start with, what in the world is hand dance? Because when I tell people that I'm out there dancing, they look at me and they go, hand dance? What is it? I said, well, do you know salsa? Do you Chicago stepping? How do you describe hand dance?
Well, hand dancing is the official dance of Washington, D.C., as voted on by the D.C. City Council.
Mhm.
It's a form of swing. So you got to have at least two people. It derives from a dance that came out of New York City called the Lindy Hop. And it's just been very popular, I guess, for the last hand dancing, that is, for the last 60, 70, 80 years. It was the dance when my parents were coming up. As a matter of fact, if you had asked them if you wanted to dance, you automatically meant you were talking about hand dancing. If you said, can you dance? They meant hand dancing. It wasn't until the 70s when folks stopped holding hands and dance far away from each other or dance too close to each other, whichever way they chose to do it. But hand dancing started to make a resurgence in the late 70s and 80s, and it's pretty popular right now. So folks who don't know, they should know. We have to give them some.
That word should though, because you brought in Lindy Hop, and I'm thinking to myself, how many people in this generation know what Lindy Hop is or was?
Okay.
Comment on that. So, because people look at me, it's like, what are you doing something with the hand? What's going on with these connections with the hand?
Exactly what it is. It is a connection. It is partner with partner, being able to dance without having to talk about it. It's a lead follow activity. The leader gives an indication of what they would like to have done, be it a twirl, be it a travel move, be it just some footwork, and hopefully that message gets relayed to the partner and they help to execute that move. And if you do it right, you look like one.
You look like one,
Look like
Cynthia.
one. And if you go back and
Cynthia. Now we're talking about leading and following.
We didn't
Unpack that
know.
for us.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be led?
Well, that was one of the reasons that I decided to take hand dance lessons, because I didn't know how to follow. I was this independent, fast little young lady, and I had never been in a position. I had never made myself be still and try to follow the cues of a partner, whether it was personal or on the dance floor. It just, I was in charge. So unfortunately, that translated in my dance. When I first started dancing, it took me a while to calm down. Who's that young girl dressed in red? Waiting for. But once you learn how to submit and just relax on the dance floor, if you have a strong leader who knows what they're doing, it is the most beautiful thing, and it's a lot of fun, and it's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get from person to person, from dance to dance. So it's a lot of fun.
And she used that word submit. Ain't no submission going on over here. It's like I'll give an indication and I hope she does it.
That's
Because
exactly.
maybe, well, you like me, you hijack the dance.
That was me. That was me.
But it's interesting.
Now you got to explain what hijacking is, right?
We're supposed to follow, but
Yeah.
we end up hijacking the dance. And Cynthia, I can definitely relate, because as women, we're used to being in a strong leadership position. And I share my love for the dance from another perspective as well, that it's a relief to let go leadership, because to carry that crown, it's heavy at times. And so it's a relief that somebody else is responsible for this. Somebody else is responsible for making me look good. And Kevin, you're always talking about helping your partner look good. What do you mean by that?
Well, we have a saying, and the saying is that the leader is the frame, but the follower is the picture. And when we're dancing together, I always believe that the ladies look better than the guys executing moves. So when the leader gives an indication of what that leader wants done, if that lady executes that move perfectly, they both look golden. They both look like they're walking on a cloud or dancing on a cloud. And I said walking, but someone once told me that dancing is nothing more than walking with rhythm. So
Walking with rhythm.
walking with rhythm. So if you can hear the music and that music moves you, and as you dance, you are literally just walking with rhythm.
I like that, walking with rhythm. I am going to, okay. So one of the curiosities I have about hand dance is that our social day parties happen at the VFW. Is there a historical connection for that, or is that just the organization that offers us space?
Um, the latter. It's the Elks Lodge in Temple Hills, Maryland. And initially, most of the hand dancing was done at a club called the Eclipse. And Eclipse was located on Bladensburg Road. And every Friday night, they would have a social, and hand dancers from all over the DMV would come to the Eclipse to show off and show you what it is that they can do. I know that that's where I learned to dance. Lawrence Bradford, who was my instructor,
Mhm.
also known as the godfather of hand dancing, because he's the one that absolutely caused it to gain popularity again after it
Yes.
died out for a while.
Mhm.
So the Eclipse with Larry Beasley, who was the owner, he and Lawrence Bradford got together and said, why don't we teach classes? And
Mhm.
Brad taught classes there for years and years and years. And then when Larry Beasley died, we lost the club. So we were looking for a new location. And that new location happened to be the Elks Lodge in Temple Hills, Maryland. The Elks Lodge is much larger than the Eclipse was, much different footprint, but it became that new location. So now every Friday night you can go to the Elks Lodge. Every holiday, we being myself, Kermit Banks, who is my partner and who's also a dance instructor with a school called Two Dance. And it was Lawrence Bradford before he passed, so it was the three of us. We formed an organization called Unique Entertainment Experience. And
Yes.
every holiday, every holiday that fell on a Monday when people didn't have to work, we did the ultimate come as you are day party. So we didn't care how you were dressed, just get your butt up, bring it on down to the Elks Lodge. And from 12:30 to 4:30 in the afternoon, we would dance like no one was watching. And
Yes, and amen.
what makes it so fun, and I was talking about it, I'm talking about it like it was past tense, but it's not past tense. We still do it. As a matter of fact, we're having a party on Memorial Day of this year and Labor Day this year. If it's a 3-day holiday, then we're inviting folks to come on out for the Come As You Are Day party.
And we love those day parties because it is phenomenal. And I know this podcast, it goes far and wide. So it goes across the country and even some people overseas. So very often, if you're looking for a location to dance, check out your local VFW. And thank you, Elks Lodge, for making space for us. Day parties. Woo! Day parties. You wouldn't even know that, it's during the daytime because once you're inside, you have a great time. I want to say something else about hand dance though, and that is it's a gathering and it's a healing place. Two different concepts. Okay, so let's go with the gathering first, since we're talking about day parties. What kind of community do we form when we come and we dance?
You want to speak to that?
I will. I think it's a hidden blessing is that when you walk in a dance school like Simply Swing, or when you come to a day party because you already know how to dance,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what walk of life you've had. It doesn't matter your socioeconomic status, race, none of those DEI attributes matter at
Yes.
all. Because all that matters is that you showed up and you have dance shoes on and you're ready to wear them out. And that you just have a good time. And just that one activity alone draws you to people. You may not know anything about the person other than their name, and you might not know that, but you know their face, and
Mm-hmm.
that you see them at every party, and that person becomes eventually your friend, and you just greet them as if you've known them for years.
Yes.
That is community. You don't have to know all their business. You just have to know that you share something in common. And that thing is just awesome. And it surpasses all the other things that people tend to shine a light on that may or may not be important. They're not important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it does not matter what level of a dancer you are, because there's a level of kindness and courtesy that is extended to us, whether you're beginner, intermediate, or advanced.
Thank
Though
goodness.
I have to say, I don't like, Kevin, I don't dance with the leaders.
You don't dance with the leaders? What do you mean?
Don't dance with leaders. Let me tell you why. Because one of the things when you dance with leaders at the day party, I lose focus and I start to think, oh, I've got to be perfect. Oh, I'm just, and then I get caught up in my brain. And so I'm like, I need to learn how to let that go.
Yes. I had the same thing, and I
And
totally understand. Oh, and when I first started dancing, I didn't even want to dance with Kevin. When I met Brad, I didn't want to dance with Brad. I didn't want to dance with Kermit. I felt intimidated. And Brad was the most comfortable person. He met me where I was. He didn't make me feel like I did anything wrong, and I'm sure I did, but he didn't make me feel that way, and we just had a nice dance. And that simple act, as you said, of kindness
yes,
boosted my confidence. It didn't mean I did everything right, but I was like, hey, I danced with Brad, and it helps. So I encourage you to,
mm,
I understand how you get in your head, but if you just not be in your head, just count. Just if you have to count while you're on the dance floor, smile and count, but you always have a beautiful smile anyway. And
oh,
just
thank you.
enjoy yourself and let them lead you. You'd be amazed. And one day, one night, one dance a night out of your comfort zone will be a big
That's a goal. That's a
yeah,
goal.
yeah.
Most definitely. The other attribute, in addition to the community, is healing.
Mhm.
When we come together, it's almost like a sacred space where healing is involved. And an example of that is if we've had a rough day at work, we're coming to this place with a common goal of let's just dance and enjoy the music. Kevin, share some stories about what the testimonials of what people have shared with you in terms of why they come to dance class.
Well, we have a saying that the dance floor during class is a no judgment zone.
Mhm.
We want you to come in and whatever problems you may have, leave them in your car, roll up the window, lock the door, because
Mhm.
they'll be there when you leave class. But when you come in class, let that go. Just come in and focus on what's going on during class. When you come to class, we ask people if your glass is half full, just empty the glass. If you come there wondering, do I have two left feet? Bring both of them. That's but the goal is to take you from knowing absolutely nothing to as far as you want to go, right? One of the things that I had to learn is that people come to class for different reasons. Everyone doesn't want to be a competitive dancer. Some folks just want to come and meet new people. Some folks just want to come and enjoy the relationships that they're meeting on the floor. As you know, with our classes, you don't need to bring a partner, and we rotate consistently throughout the class. So
Yes.
before class is over, you might have danced with 6 to 8 to 10 people, uh, just in an hour and 15 minutes or so. So it's it's a very healing environment. And it's funny because we've had folks who have created relationships where Cynthia and I get invited out to their parties. We taught them how to dance. They met each other on the dance floor, and I'm talking about cohorts, whole classes of people, where when we go to hang out with them at their home, it's 12, 15 of them, and now they've invited people. It just keeps growing and growing and growing. People must like what they get and what they feel, because we've never run any advertisement or commercials for our classes. Our classes grow and populate by word of mouth. And people usually don't tell folks about something unless they really enjoy what it is that they're doing. I know when I first started dancing, I absolutely fell in love with it. And I told all my friends about it, and some of them wanted to come and see, and some folks are going, no, I know that's not me. And I know that if they had just come through the door like I did, that they too would have been hooked on what's going on, especially the guys. You know, a lot of ladies come in and want to dance, but the guys are very, very, very reluctant. So when the guys walk through the door, we make sure that we want them to feel comfortable with what it is that they're doing. We all have to learn footwork. The guys have to learn their footwork, and the ladies are a mirror image, so they learn their footwork. Guys have to learn how to lead, which means they have to learn how to move themselves, as well as where they want the ladies to be. And sometimes that can be intimidating. And we just let them know right up front. Initially, a lot of the guys believe that it's harder for them than it is for the ladies. But when they stick with it, they realize that they've been given a gift. And it's a gift that no one can take from them, right? It's yours.
Right.
It's amazing, Anne Marie. Sometimes like Cynthia and I have gone to parties where no one hand dances but us. And we don't care what the song is.
Yes.
We get on the floor. It can be hip hop, you know, it can be go-go, Motown, jazz, smooth jazz. We don't care what the song is. We just get on the floor and do what we do. And folks always want to know, where did you learn that? Because the wife and I have been dying to learn something like that. And we just don't know where to go to find that. So we do our best to be ambassadors of the dance.
I was going to say it speaks for itself, because I can remember December 2017, I went to like a Christmas party. This is one where we did have to get dressed up. And as I sat in a chair in the back in a corner, I looked up the floor, and it's almost as though the people on the dance floor, it looked like they were floating. It literally looked, because they were dancing as one. And you have all these couples dancing as one. And I'm thinking to myself, if that isn't a slice of heaven, I don't know what else is. So I think it's so important, and especially to get our guys out, because what a gift it is. So one of the
before
go
we
ahead.
leave this subject,
Yes.
I had a conversation today with a very good friend of mine who is a dance instructor. As a matter of fact, he was already an accomplished dancer when I first learned how to dance, and that was some 25 years ago. And he told me that he was doing a lot of private dance lessons. And he told me about one of his students who's scheduled to have brain surgery. And the student's doctor told him, keep dancing, you know, dance. You're going to need this as part of your recovery. We want to make sure that you don't lose any of your cognitive ability. And I was like, yeah, I get it. It's the same thing with folks who suffer with dementia. It's been that dancing is one of the best things that you can do with someone who is dealing with dementia. It helps fight off dementia because of the learning process and retaining the movement. It's the dancing is a very healing exercise, to say the
It
least.
most definitely is. Go ahead, Cynthia.
Yes, I want to interject. Part of that healing, Kevin mentioned people come to dance class for many reasons. They also come in a variety of seasons. As an example, we recently have had a number of people who have recently, I mean, they showed up on our dance floor within 3 to 6 months of their spouse passing away. That's big, and it's
Yes.
intentional. When I started taking hand dance lessons, I had 2 family members in the hospital that I was bouncing back and forth, caring for, checking on, and being a provider for. And even when after that, it was my grandfather. So class is a way it's self-care. It's a way to forget about everything, all of our responsibilities, all the to-dos, and as you said, the heavy crown, put it down, put your dance shoes on and get on the dance floor, because it's a healing place for people going through life changes, whether it's a divorce or, a death of a spouse, and they need to reconnect to a community. And our classes have been a magnet for relationships as well.
Yes. Yes.
Sometimes we know about it, sometimes we find out about it, but that speaks to the healing. While you're healing, it's a safe place. You're able to relax and let your guard down and be your authentic self. And that shows up. And people see that when we're dancing, ladies on one side, leaders or followers on one side, and leaders on the other. We're looking directly at these people, for the most part, all night long. And like I said before, you think you know them, but you really don't know them, but you know a piece of them. And you know just enough to find out if you want to know more.
Yes,
Yeah.
you do. You reach a perception. I want to talk a little bit about we mentioned this word healing, David Watson,
Mm.
because when I came in 5, 6 years ago, one of the things, I mentioned to you that's, I'd get nervous and tight and just all up in my head instead of relaxing. And, I confessed to David one time that for me, when I go to the Elks and everything, the music is jamming, everything is wonderful. It's just the first dance. I just need to feel comfortable with the first dance. And when I get over that, then I'm just like free. That
Yeah.
frees me. He knew that. So one of the things that he would do for me is he will come find me and we would have that first dance with his wife's permission.
Yeah. Yeah.
We would have that first dance. And once I got past that, it was like a mental block. Then I was good. Then I could get into a groove. Talk a little bit about some of the others that have transitioned, that have moved on. Brad being one, both David and his wife. Um, who are some of the others?
DJ.
Yeah. BJ Jones, who was probably the belle of the ball. She was a hand dancer that all the other hand dancers looked up to. And she would do styling classes throughout the area. Oh, I've had just so many folks who have come through. I've got one Jewish couple that came through, and it's funny because the reason I remember them so much or so well is because they introduced me to Rachel Maddow. And
Oh, okay.
They were like, you need to look at Rachel's show to get woke, right? And
Uh-huh.
they didn't use those words, but that's basically what they were saying. Now I listen to Rachel just about every night. Um, but all of a sudden, the husband passed, right? So there's been quite a bit of loss in the community. But we've also had surprises of folks. We had one couple come through the door that we didn't even know they were a couple. They met through class. We didn't know they were dating or anything. And when they came up to me, they said, well, we just want you to know that we're married.
Lord, we were floored because we were totally shocked.
Yeah, we didn't even know they
My
were seeing
goodness.
each other. We didn't even know they liked each other. Right? So, you have loss in one corner, and then you have new games and relationships in the next corner. It's a very vibrant community, right? And it is community. It absolutely is.
Yes.
It's not just a dance class. When people come to class, we give them all name tags. They don't have to put them
Yes.
on, but it would be nice to put your name tag on. We probably have 90% compliance of folks who put
Yes.
on the name tag. But that's how we get to know people. We get to call them by name. Cynthia was saying people you dance with for years and you don't know their name, but you know who they are when you see them. Well, I want to know your name. I want to know a little bit about you. We don't get too personal though.
Yeah.
We draw that line because everybody deserves their personal space. Everybody who comes through the door doesn't want to tell you about the day they had today.
Absolutely.
And if they do tell you about the day, it's because they got comfortable enough to say, I'm in an environment where I trust where I am, and I trust that it won't go any further than.
Well, if you talk about the day, it takes away from the magic. Okay, because we're not there to talk about the day. We're there to talk about the magic and your work as a leader, as an instructor, as someone who's carrying on this dance. It even happens on the boat. What happens on the boat, guys? Is this a Vegas situation? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas? What happens on the boat? I'm talking about Capital Jazz.
That's right.
We've been blessed. When you start doing something, you hope for success, but you really don't know where you're going to end up, right? When the first person came through the door, we were hoping that they would just be able to learn how to dance. And then before you know it, we had a few thousand people come through and learn how to dance. And then one day we got a call from the promoters of the Capital Jazz Cruise, and they asked if we would take the cruise and teach hand dancing. And, we were excited about it, but a little worried because we just didn't know exactly what to expect. It's a 7-day cruise. The first cruise we took had about 5,000 people on it. And they had hand dancing every day that we were at sea. So if we didn't dock anywhere, then we knew we were going to be teaching that day. And we only had to teach for about an hour a day. We wished we could teach longer than that. But it was not just hand dancing. It was also Chicago stepping, salsa, line dancing. So, we weren't the only ones there, but it was truly an enlightening experience. We treated it like a vacation because that's what it was for us, especially when you think you're only going to teach 3 hours in a 7-day cruise. We've had quite a few students who we met on the cruise who then came to our class once they got back, because they were like, hey, you got to start it. Let's finish what
Let's
you
keep
started.
this thing going, right?
And then we were lucky enough to have it happen again, and then again, and then again. I mean, we've done about 7 of the cruises so far. And it's kind of funny because we told some folks that we were going to do it, because we usually don't tell folks that we're going to be there, because we don't know until the last minute.
Yeah.
And by the
Mhm.
time we figure out that we're going to be there,
It's sold out.
right, it's sold out. So this last time we just said, look, we're going to be on the Capital Jazz Cruise.
Yeah.
Anybody else going? And everybody was like, yeah, we'll be there, we'll be there, we'll be there. So we not only had a good time on the cruise, but we actually created our own party. They actually had us host a party on the cruise.
Awesome.
So we got to do hand dancing and bop, and we let the steppers have a little bit too. We played some
Yes.
music and got them involved. But it's a blessing. We enjoy it, and we're just happy and blessed to be able to do it.
And it's an awesome vacation. So anyone that gets the opportunity to take the Capital Jazz Super Cruise should do it, because it's more than the dance. The music is awesome. You get to meet the musicians. You get to have, one-on-one conversations with some of these people. And everyone is just relaxed, super chill. And it's almost like being on the dance floor, but it's a boat. Because, just enough to keep it moving, just enough to speak and remember nice things, little things about someone, and carry on a conversation and go on. It's awesome.
Create memories. Create memories. So what you're doing is creating memories, and you're creating legacy.
Legacy. There you go.
Thousands in 20, 25 years of teaching. So we're talking about thousands of people who've been influenced under your tutelage. How does that make you feel?
Oh, it makes me feel great. We have a saying that our job is to keep hand dance alive. And because we thought we had lost it once, because folks just weren't holding hands and dancing anymore. Then it made a resurgence, and it turned out that it was a huge resurgence. But I stopped telling people that I'm keeping hand dance alive. My job now is to proliferate it. I want hand dancing to be done all throughout the United States and all throughout the world, right? It's funny because things happen that you never know were in the stars. But a few years ago, we all had to stop dancing in person because of COVID. And that really, really worried me, because our classes were at a peak at the time that COVID hit. I mean, the dance floors were crowded all the time. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, like one day we're on the dance floor, the next day we're sending out an email saying that was the last class until this COVID situation goes away. And what it caused us to do was try to figure out a way to keep people engaged in the dance community and engaged in the dance while being secluded in their homes.
Yes.
And we went out and looked for a tool that would allow us to record videos in a studio, and not even videos, but live, just record live into people's living rooms and basements, and wherever they were shut in, they could just turn their computer on or their TV on and see us teaching classes a few days a week. And it wasn't just me; it was Cynthia and I with Simply Swing, and then Kermit. His school is called To Dance. He and Novella would come on live. A good friend of ours, Victor Howard, and Kermit's sister Lisa, who are just extraordinary dancers in their own right. did a specialty workshop on styling for the ladies. We had Terry, the line dance diva, come out and do some line dance workshops for us. And what it did was it kept the community together while we had to be apart. And people were looking forward to Friday night classes. And we have a thing called Dancer Spotlight, where we interview people in the dance community so they can get to meet others. Once we got back to the dance floor, we realized that this tool, the reason for the tool had just changed dramatically. And that's what we've been working on for the last year or so, is getting the community piece of that. How do I get in touch with people in the dance community? How do I stay in touch? How do I
know where to go?
Yeah, know where to go. We still do the spotlight, but it's that community of people talking to people, and not just the instructor talking to everybody. It's the people talking to each other. So
Okay.
it's taking on a whole new dynamic right now. And we're really, really excited about the changes. Now we've got hundreds of people who are communicating with each other, and folks are being ambassadors. They're telling other folks about it. I'm excited.
You know what, Kevin? You used the word ambassadors. I want to say ministry.
Yeah.
Isn't it a ministry?
Yeah.
I know you guys are people of faith. And what I think about is ministry, because you've just explained how you were able to pivot during a time of isolation and help people get through a most difficult time in their lives. And this dance is about healing, community, connection, and leading and following.
Well, if you think about it, I've been teaching dance classes in churches for the last 20 plus years, right?
Right.
And folks used to go, well, why don't you go to a club and teach? And why don't you go to other places? I've taught in churches. Our classes have always been, that's always been home base for us, right? Folks bring us in to do special workshops for marriage ministries. And then we get the flip side. Folks bring us in for singles ministry. So they can have something to do. I mean, whether it's Kettering Baptist or Reed Temple, Jordan River Ministry. Yeah, I mean, we're all over the map as far as the spiritual side of it, right? But it's kind of funny though. Well, it's not funny because I like all kinds of music, right?
Yes.
And I will listen to all kinds of music. But when I'm in the church, I know what I'm supposed to play and what I ain't supposed to play, right? So I make sure that I stay within the confines to let folks know that we respect and appreciate our surroundings. Like I said, it's a safe zone. Folks appreciate it. I think they like the fact that we teach in churches.
Yeah, so Miss Cynthia, thank you for staying with us. I know these allergies.
So sorry for popping in and out, but I sound like a horse when I get the cough.
No worries at all. No worries. And 'tis the season, it is springtime. And just in terms of just bringing this to a close, one of the things is we all have a testimony and why we keep coming back and why we haven't let go. I appreciate just the two of you so much, because everything that we talked about today, having that community, having connection, And I remember when I had total knee replacement and it was going to be on my right leg. And, that's the lead foot for women in terms of dancing. First thing I asked the orthopedic is, am I going to be able to dance again?
That's
It's like,
right.
I didn't even ask about walking. It's just like, I need to be able to dance again. That was my gravest concern. It's just like, I need to do this thing because it helps me so. So we appreciate what it is that you do, what it is that you pass on to others, and we look forward to what is going to happen in the future. So it can only get better. So, how do people get in touch with you if they want to find out the social dance exchange or they want to come to Simply Swing? How do we get in touch with you on your
Well,
media?
several ways. One is you can email us directly. If you just want to communicate and go, hey, how can I get more information? Simply swing at Verizon.net. Simply swing, all one word, at Verizon.net. If you want to know more about what we do as far as our video arm, then socialdanceexchange.com. If you go to Social Dance Exchange, you will be right into the community and you can see all that's going on. We teach classes every Monday and Thursday at Transfiguration Episcopal Church, and that's on New Hampshire Avenue in Silver Spring, Maryland. So 13925 New Hampshire Avenue, Silver Spring, Maryland, 20904.
He writes the check.
Check.
You
If
can
you're
also
listening,
find
go ahead.
you can also find us on Facebook. We
Facebook.
have a Facebook presence, Social Dance Exchange. Simply Swing
Simply Swing on Facebook,
Right.
and Social Dance Exchange on
on
Facebook.
Facebook.
And if you want to party with us, Unique Entertainment Experience on Facebook.
Yes, you need to come out to the day parties. And if
Love it.
you're thinking to yourself, oh man, I'm not on the East Coast, just check your local listings. I'm telling you that this dance, it's across the country. It's hand dance in the DMV, in DC in particular, the official dance. But find yourself a dance class for all of the benefits. And that is how we change our lives one day at a time. It's been my pleasure. Bye bye, everybody.